A pleasant day to all. I am actually Elisha B. Daga-ang, Besame 2 from Econ 122 73106 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. TDHS. This is my assignment number 10 about inflation. So to start, the first question, what is inflation, and explain each type of inflation and its causes, why it happened. So inflation is the increase in the overall level of prices, leading to a decrease in the purchasing power. Inflation can have various causes and impact on an economy, and it is typically measured using indicators such as the Consumer Price Index or the CPI. Now, there are five main types of inflation, each with different causes. The first type of inflation is creeping inflation. To define, creeping inflation is also known as mild inflation. It occurs when the price level persistently rises at a low rate, typically around 2% or less. This type of inflation is considered beneficial for economic growth as it encourages consumer spending and investment, and its causes of mild inflation is often driven by factors such as increased consumer demand, which leads to higher prices and the expectation of future prices increases, prompting consumers to make purchases sooner rather than later. The second type of inflation is galloping inflation. So galloping inflation refers to a rapid and significant increases in prices, typically ranging from 20% to 1000%. This level of inflation poses a serious challenge to bring under control and can have detrimental effect on the economy. So the galloping inflation is caused by a combination of factors such as excessive growth in the money supply, increased consumer demand, and supply shortages, leading to a rapid surge in prices. The third types of inflation, which everyone known, is hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is an extreme form of inflation characterized by prices rising at an extremely rapid rate, often exceeding 1000%. Under hyperinflation, the value of money rapidly declines and price changes so quickly that it becomes a daily occurrence. The causes of hyperinflation is by a loss of confidence in the currency, excessive growth in the money supply, and a breakdown in the normal functioning of the economy, often associated with political or economic crisis. The fourth type of inflation is stagflation. Stagflation is a situation characterized by high inflation, slow economic growth, and high unemployment. It presents a dilemma for economic policy as actions to lower inflation may exacerbate unemployment. The causes of stagflation is often triggered by supply shocks such as disruption in the oil supply or shortage of essential parts, which can affect inflation, employment, and economic growth. Lastly, the fifth type of inflation is the deflation. Deflation, which everyone known, is when price drops significantly, leading to a decrease in the overall price level of goods and services. This can result from a large money supply or a slump in consumer spending, leading to reduced companies' earning and potential layoff. The cause of deflation, why is it exists? It's because by factors such as reduced consumer demand, excess production capacity, and a decrease in the money supply, leading to a spiral of declining prices. Understanding these different types of inflation and their causes is essential for comprehending the diverse economic condition and their impacts on consumers, business, and policymakers. Each type of inflation is driven by specific factors and their effects can vary widely. So knowing about inflation and these different types of inflation, let's proceed to the second question. At what particular year and whose administration in Philippine history wherein inflation is at its lowest and highest rate? What rate is that and what might be the cost of it? Based on the Philippine inflation historical data, the lowest interest rate in Philippine history was recorded in 1957 as negative 2.10%, indicating deflation under the administration of former President Carlos P. Garcia. The causes of this deflation were factors such as increased agricultural output, government policies to stabilize prices and support agricultural production, and external factors like favorable weather conditions contributed to the low inflation rate during this period. On the other hand, according to credible sources like Rappler, The highest inflation rate in the Philippine history was recorded in 1984 as 50.34% under the administration of former President Ferdinand Marcos Sr., signifying a drastic increase in the price compared to the previous year. This extreme inflation was a sign of political and economic turmoil, and it is likely that a combination of factors such as the Marcos pernicious policy of debt-driven growth and crony capitalism and excessive growth in the money in supply and supply shortages contributed to the surge in prices. This extreme fluctuation in inflation rates highlights the importance of sound economic policies, fiscal discipline, and external factors in influencing the economic stability of the Philippines. Now, knowing about the lowest inflation rate in the Philippine history, let's go to the third question. In relation to hyperinflation, summarize what happened in Zimbabwe's economy from early 2007 onwards. For the past decade, Zimbabwe has been experiencing an economic decline that has resulted in an inflation rate of 231 million% and an unemployment rate of over 90%. From early 2007 onward, Zimbabwe experienced an ongoing period of hyperinflation, which began in February 2007. The height of inflation occurred from 2008 to 2009, during which it was difficult to measure Zimbabwe's hyperinflation because the government stopped filing official inflation statistics. The peak month of inflation is estimated at 79.6 billion% month-on-month, 89.76 trillion% year-on-year, in mid-November 2008. This period was characterized by an extreme daily inflation rate, effectively causing prices to double every day. It was a time of real hardship and poverty, with an unemployment rate of close to 90% and a virtual breakdown in normal economic activity. The hyperinflation in Zimbabwe was caused by a series of economic shocks, leading the government to print money in response to high national debt, a decline in economic output, a decline in export earnings, and price control exacerbating shortages. Additionally, a lack of confidence in the government, economy, and policy life, along with expectation of hyperinflation, contributed to the crisis. This situation leads to a switch to a barter economy, with money become worthless and people finding ways around the official economy by paying for goods in kind. This surge in money supply with no corresponding increase in goods caused price to spiral out of control. Hyperinflation became a daily nightmare in Zimbabwe, prices changing rapidly, sometimes even hourly. People desperately spend their Zimbabwean dollars before they become worthless. The banking system and the local currency crumble. In response to the hyperinflation crisis, Zimbabwe stopped printing its currency in April 2009, and currency from other countries were used. In mid-2015, Zimbabwe announced plans to completely switch to the United States dollar by the end of that year. The severe hyperinflation has devastating effect on the domestic economy, causing economic activities to virtually shut down and turning the economy into a barter system. It also led to a destruction of the financial system as banks become unwilling to lend money. Therefore, the situation in Zimbabwe serves as a stark example of the destructive impact of hyperinflation on an economy and the livelihoods of its people. That's all. Thank you. I hope you learned something on my assignment.